Thank you very much for that, Googs. Yes, emergency services are a matter of health, life, and death, and we often don't hear the stories of those who steer the ship in the emergency services sector. Today's woman crush is Simphiwe Mamvura, the managing director of Maponya 911. Her impact has seen the company grow to become the largest black-owned emergency medical services in South Africa, and the third largest EMS provider in South Africa as well. Why are you listening to me when I said that? Is that incorrect?
Yes.
Okay, you can correct us, it's fine.
Yes.
But it's good to have you in the studio, and thank you very much for joining us. Good morning.
Thank you very much for having me, CJ.
So maybe tell us about how you got into the line of business to begin with, right?
Yeah.
Before we speak about where the business is now.
Yeah. Well, geez, I always say emergency medical services it's a passion that basically chose me. It's something I always say I inherited the passion. It's predominantly a family business, so it was founded by Thomas Maponya, who is a father to me. I was raised by him, and it stemmed from a need for emergency medical services in Soweto. At the time, in 1996, he was a trained nurse, and every time there were stabbings in the community or there was a lady that was in labor, they used to come knocking at our house for him to come and transport them. And it used to happen all the time. And I always say his personal car ended up becoming an ambulance. And that's where the need really grew. And from there, he decided to purchase one ambulance service. I actually do not have a medical background. I come from a commerce background. I studied BCom business management and BCom law, and I did my honors in business management as well. So I've always wanted to be a CEO one day. I've always wanted to run a business or run my own business or my own empire. And I started off my career at Toyota, as I said. So to actually be part of, I joined the company 9 years ago. So to actually be part of this legacy and this empire that we're trying to build as a family that really impacts lives in South Africa, for me, has been an absolute dream. And yeah, that's basically how I got into the industry.
And you know what the thing is with EMS, right? It actually is time sensitive. Every minute is a difference between life and death.
Yeah.
And so if you look at how townships are built, for example, so it's slightly different. But for example, in KZN, there's only one road in and one road out.
Yeah.
And it's because if, for example, there happens to be a situation that they want to contain, it's very easy to contain the situation within the township, right?
Yeah.
But then the drawback to that is if there is any kind of traffic or congestion, it's very difficult to get the help to a person.
Yeah.
And get them out there, or maybe to a hospital or the close hospital timelessly.
Yeah.
And so how have you found that your existence in Soweto, for example, what difference has that made?
We actually have a branch in Umlazi. Our business model really caters to the neediest areas of South Africa. So our business model is that we make sure that we have presence in the rural areas, the townships, the remote areas where there's a serious need, because that's where we feel the greatest impact is. And that's where you find situations like that where someone is calling an emergency or an ambulance and, it takes 40 minutes to get there. So we make sure that we have presence in those areas. And fortunately, we have a branch in the area that you're talking about. So back to your question, in terms of just making sure that we respond to the things, we try and stick to the golden hour rules. So 15 minutes, so between 15 to 20 minutes, we try and make sure that we can respond to the scene. And all our SLAs with our clients are defined by that.
And then, when we speak about emergency services as well, it doesn't necessarily have to be just medical stuff. Sometimes it is. But what if it's at a point where, let's say, somebody is in need of, let's call it a security matter, right? How do you guys intervene there? Do you work with law enforcement, or do you have a wing that deals with
we are actually, I was actually discussing it with someone outside that we're discussing the incident that happened in Tembisa where there was ambulances they tried to hijack them. Yeah. So we're talking about that incident, and I think that's made us want to start moving into that direction now, to affiliate with security companies or open a wing of security just to help also with safety measures for our paramedics and for incidents like that. So that is something that is within our vision and our goals for the rest of the year.
Because usually when somebody's in need of like medical emergency, the situation is still ongoing, so it's still highly dangerous. And so you find that, you know, EMS services can't get there because they're like, look, it's too charged currently, let's wait it out a little bit, but meanwhile something.
And it's such a sad reality. I was saying, like in areas like Khayelitsha, you'll find that there's not a lot of ambulance services there because they are scared of, you know, any incidents that might happen. But I think a lot of ambulance services are realizing that this is happening, and we are all moving towards the direction of associating ourselves with either certain security companies. We are personally looking at entering into that area and opening our own security company, well, a division within the company.
Well, thank you very much for joining us, and we wish you all the best. May your business continue to grow from strength to strength, and then maybe then one day you will be big. You will be the biggest, like I said earlier on.
That is our goal. I always say one of my biggest goals for the company is to see us claim that #1 emergency medical service spot and to see us expand into Africa. So, hopefully.
Okay. Well, all the best. That was our Women Crush Wednesday. Simphiwe Mamvura, Managing Director of Maponya 911. When we come back, we'll be crossing to some of our field reporters here at Newzroom Africa to let you know what's happening around the country and, of course, around the world. You can also tweet us at 45 Mornings. Don't forget to